Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Continuing to take a look at next Saturday's slate in a massive ACC matchup as the Miami Hurricanes head on the road to play North Carolina. Dill, story of the game here. This is a Miami team that I think is legit great. I mean, you look at them on the defensive side of the ball, very, very good. When that offense is humming and they're not turning the ball over, it's one of the more explosive offenses that you see in the country. Can they get off the mat? That's the big question for this game. Obviously, a heartbreaking, inexcusable, undescribable loss. We already talked about that. That's in the rearview mirror. Now it's, can you get off the mat and play a North Carolina team that is a legit top 15 team in the country, two heavyweights in the ACC going to battle? Going to be an absolutely great game. Before we get into it, just want to say thank you to you guys. The support that you guys have shown the boys for all these game breakdowns truly does mean a lot. We love doing these. We love talking ball with you guys in the comment section. Would love to hear from you guys. So if you do enjoy the content, one, consider subscribing to the channel. But more importantly, let us know in the comment section how we're feeling about this matchup. Dell, going to give you the T-box here. Massive ACC matchup. How are we feeling?
And again, you kind of mentioned it. This is a great opportunity for Miami to kind of get a horrible taste out of their mouth. That, again, that's like one of those ones that I think would be very hard to forget if you went and played teams you should beat or something like that. Like, you go play UNC. I mean, this is
it's a great dude. It's a great spot. You know what I
mean?
mean? For Miami, it's like if you had to go up to like on the road to Boston College in a dreary, cold, gray day on Saturday, that I could see that being a tough spot. I mean, you're going in and playing a legit top 15 team in the country. It's really good timing to have that kind of loss because this team is going to be, I think, locked in to this North Carolina matchup. Dill, I want to talk about Miami's defense first in this. They're going up against a phenomenal offense. We'll get to Drake Maye and what North Carolina could do on the offensive side of the ball in a second. But Dill, this defense, dominant against Georgia Tech, and quite frankly, dominant to start the season. And for me, it starts in that front seven and the physicality that they do play with.
And that was, I think, the one unit, like, you would look at the defensive line. It is on the smaller side, but they're playing tough. I mean, Leonard Taylor, Branson Dean when he's been healthy. Like, these are guys who are keeping these linebackers free. They're making a fair amount of plays in their own right. And that, again, they kind of answered that one question you have. Because you look back and it looks really good. It looked really good preseason.
This is, I think, the biggest thing that Miami's had success with. And this is something that we're not used to saying with this Hurricanes, especially in the front seven along the line of scrimmage. Just why you bring in Mario Cristobal. Dude, physical, up front. The linebacker play has been phenomenal. This is a team that's only allowing 2.7 yards per carry. You go and take a look at the numbers, and it kind of matches up with what you're seeing on the film. Francisco Mauigoa, Corey Flagg, both their average depth of tackle is inside of 2 yards. I mean, these guys are playing downhill. They're playing aggressive. They're really aggressive against the run. And I do think it's a product of that defensive line keeping them clean. And I think it's been the story of this Hurricanes defense so far this season.
When they can keep teams off schedule and put them in the third and long, that's when, again, you look at, you got two elite safeties who both like to go after the football in the air. That's been very successful for what Miami wants to do in creating turnovers and in doing those things, I think, that have made this defense so good. And that has started with, yeah, you're right, not like getting into 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3. It's been more 3rd and 7+. And that's just allowed the real strength of this defense, at least in my eyes, to really start teeing off.
And I would also add, like, this pass rush, although it does not necessarily show up in the sack department, only sacking the quarterback 4.6% of their dropbacks. I mean, Leonard Taylor, 23 pass rush win rate from the inside. That's an elite grade. Ruben Bain's been phenomenal. Jafari Harvey. They got a ton of guys who can get after the passer as well. And that's kind of been the story of this Hurricanes defense. It's been really good. The pass rush has been good. Stopping the run's been good. They're getting turnovers. That's a good recipe. They'll have their biggest test, though, against this North Carolina offense that, Dylan, in my notes, what I'm most impressed with this North Carolina offense, again, if you go out to fall weddings on Saturdays and you just have to check the box score of this North Carolina team, oh, Drake Maye kind of having a pedestrian year. You turn on the film, like, Drake Maye's been phenomenal. Some of the throws that he's making, extending plays with his athleticism, it's been so good. But what I love most about this team, it's two-dimensional. They can run the ball extremely well, and they can also throw with Drake Maye, and I think that's what makes this North Carolina offense so dangerous and such a tall task for this Hurricanes defense.
And they're running the ball physically and not just like relying on big plays. And frankly, as much as that's helping this offense, which I don't necessarily think needs to help, honestly, if Drake Maye didn't have a running game,
He'd be fine.
I think he's that level of quarterback. But I do think it's helping the defense a little bit stay off the field and see that unit's drastically improved. And there's probably not a coincidence that they're also running the ball quite a bit more effectively and physically and grinding teams down a little bit. And then allowing Drake Maye to do what he does. And he's just so clean. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes. So they score on a lot of their drives. And then that just means their defense needs to only take a couple of possessions away.
Amari in Hampton has been just an absolute bulldozer. I mean, that dude just gets downhill, just a violent runner. I love how he runs. And another thing that's standing out to me, one, elite pass protection, but two, it's a little less like going through one guy. Like my critique last year with this North Carolina offense, and there was not a lot to critique, is that it kind of went through Josh Downs. Like when they were throwing the ball, like Drake Maye was going to Josh Downs. And at the end of the year, when teams started to try to take away Josh Downs, that's when that offense started to struggle a little bit. You look at all the pass catchers that are getting involved. McCollum, Pacer, J.J. Jones. Now you add Devontae Walker, who I think is the best wide receiver on this team. So many different options. They can hurt you with the run game. They can hurt you with the pass game. That's what makes this North Carolina offense so successful.
And there hasn't been a problem with like the rhythm. And that's what you were going to worry about with Josh Downs is when it was crunch time, it was third down, it was those like money downs, if you will. He was just taking, as much as he was taking lion's share of every down, he was taking almost all those downs. And you see like guys like McCollum and Jones being like comfortable making those plays.
Up and up, being dogs. Yeah.
The zones that Josh Downs was able to do. They're able to like kind of replace his production as a unit. And that's been the big thing for me is they really haven't missed a beat in terms of looking like they were on rhythm constantly and just playing consistent, not like having miscommunications and misfires. They're doing kind of the same thing they were doing last year along with running football.
Two juggernauts, UNC offense, Miami defense. That matchup is going to be a blast. Now, what makes North Carolina so special this year? I mean, this offense was that good last year, maybe even better than it was last year. Dill, this defense, I don't know how they did it. Like I don't like the personnel didn't change. In fact, I thought they lost some talent. I don't know what it is. I think it's the culture. Like they're just playing a little bit more physical. But this North Carolina defense massively improved, only allowing 19 points per game. That's top 25 in the country. And for me, similar to Miami, it starts up front and it starts with getting after the passer. A guy like Kamarian Rucker, Miles Murphy being elite in the trenches, impacting the quarterback, stopping the run. This North Carolina defense, it's not a liability like it was last year.
And frankly, if you watched last year, I think you thought like Murphy and Rucker and Evans, like they had a lot of talent. It just like it felt like at times you were almost like mystified. Like, why aren't these guys a little more dominant and being more
so frustrating?
They're starting to do it now. And you even throw a guy like Shaw in, who I think's emerged as a younger sophomore, obviously on this team, but playing really physical and kind of owning that middle where teams just aren't really running downhill at them. It's pretty much forcing teams to get to the perimeter on them if they're going to move the ball successfully.
Yeah, and I mean, the linebackers are doing a great job going. And we knew they had good linebackers. And Power Rock was such a gay sideline to sideline, absolute war dogs. And on the back end, like guys like Elijah Hizzy, like they've been playing good. And again, I thought it'd be a problem losing Tony Grimes, Storm Duck. They've done a really nice job on the defensive side of the ball. This is probably their biggest test, though, because this Miami team, similar to how you talk about this North Carolina offensive attack, really two-dimensional, running the football at an extremely high level, also hitting the explosive plays through the passing game. Dill, I want to start with Tyler Van Dyke. Obviously struggled against Georgia Tech, and this is kind of the conversation we had around Tyler Van Dyke. Really, really, really talented arm, dripping with arms. I don't think people appreciate how good his arm is. What he struggles with is the processing, right? Shannon Dawson, through the first couple games, phenomenal job making it easy on him. Against Georgia Tech, struggled with some of the decision-making, turning the ball over in the red zone. If he can fix that, and this is a team that has elite wide receivers to hit the explosive play, but also can run the football, making this offense extremely hard to stop.
And he's just got to distribute the football in this game because, again, think of the one weakness that it felt like North Carolina's kind of consistently had in this season. It's been tackling on the perimeter at times. I mean, you saw some in that South Carolina game where they were, getting outflanked and missing one tackle and allowing guys to spring big runs after the catch. And And you look at what Miami was able to do, frankly, against like a team like Texas A&M that's got a lot of talent in the back end. They were able to do that. They were making a lot of plays. Their wide receivers are all very tough to tackle. That'll be, I mean, Van Dyke's just got to do that, and they can move the ball. And again, it'll be about not turning the football over, because he is, when he's playing in rhythm and being at like doing his thing, he's very accurate and he doesn't make a ton of mistakes. It's just, again, like a couple of horrible decisions like kind of are very much reflecting poorly on almost this.
Yeah, and when you play a team like North Carolina, you can't have those. Like, you have to have a good Tyler Van Dyke game. Another story, and again, similar to what we said with why this Miami defense is so good, offensive line has been just phenomenal. I mean, they're running the ball extremely well. Henry Parrish averaging 6.4 yards per carry. This is a top 15 team in the country running the football. And then in pass protection, I mean, Matt Lee, Inez Cooper combined for only 1 hurry on the season. Javian Cohen 3, the kind of maybe, I don't even know if I call him the weak link, but probably the weakest in pass protection. True freshman Francis Mauigoa with 7 hurries, but as a unit, really good. And when you're looking at, can North Carolina slow down Miami? If Kamarian Rucker can get after the passer, that's kind of how you're looking at it. But this Miami Hurricanes offensive line in pass protection has been really good.
Yeah, they're going to need to try to force some mistakes, because if you can't do that to Tyler Van Dyke and he's playing confident, he's really tough. The thing is, I feel like that is the one thing he's susceptible to, is getting knocked off his confidence level.
Yeah,
you saw last year, like, I mean, a couple of mistakes early really started to spiral on him.
I blame Josh Gaddis for that, but you saw it last year too.
In fairness, he was working with Gaddis, and Gaddis didn't necessarily have the greatest history in the last 4 years of running offense.
You put the asterisks, though. You put the asterisks on that 2021.
But like, still, at the end of the day, Tyler Van Dyke, I mean, you got to control, like, make a bad mistake, got to be able to flush it somehow. And that's the one thing. Like, if he's going to go play UNC, you can't give up possessions, because they're way too good. They're going to score the football pretty consistently, I think, against almost anyone. So he's just going to need to play a clean game and kind of flush what happened against Georgia Tech.
All right, Dale. Getting to the pick here. Miami heading on the road to North Carolina. 3.5 point dogs. I have my pick. How are we feeling about this?
I'm not gonna lie. If I was just picking a game, like one pick to save my life kind of thing, I think I'm going the over. I think this over is criminally low at, what is it, 53 or something? Like, that's crazy. This should easily be in the 60s. I think both these offenses are very explosive and playing very well. I think that's the pick. And in the side, I think is tough. I maybe have a very slight lean to North Carolina, just because I am very concerned about, again, a little bit of a spiral in what this team can be.
Let's be honest. Like, be honest with Miami fans. Like, we were honest. We had an honest conversation yesterday about it. This has been a team where you have these kind of losses, and it has resulted in a spiral. We're going to find out how strong this culture is. It's actually exactly my pick too. Over 53.5 points. I like the Miami defense. I don't think they've seen an offense like North Carolina. I think both offenses are able to move the football. Both have been really good at hitting the explosive plays. I could see this being a little bit of a shootout, like 30, 38, 35, if both quarterbacks are playing as good as I think they can.
I don't care. We all know the over is going to hit. What's your lean on the side, though? I said North Carolina. What do you got?
Oh, I'll take Miami in the points here. I like this. I love this team. This team.
I think so too. People are like way down on them, but they're still a dominant football team.
That's where I'm at. Like, yeah, I get it. Brutal loss against Georgia Tech. Should have won that game. They dominated that game. You go look at the number. You watch the game back. They were moving the football with ease. This is a Hurricanes team that is so elite. They're playing to their talent level. This is going to be a really good game. Again, I don't love this side. I like the points in this. This is going to be a really good one. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If you do enjoy the content, again, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.